Nigeria, a country in Africa also known as the Giant of Africa. However, there is something that is really disturbing: kidnappings and lawless killings. Nigeria, the Giant of Africa, is unable to contain that situation. Hello and welcome. I'm a man called Jay and you are watching Africans in London TV. In this video, we are going to be talking about Nigeria, the giant of Africa, and rightly so. 200 million people and very powerful rulers, or we could say governors. They've got kings, they've got presidents who sometimes do not really do what they promised when they are campaigning during elections. Now, without going further, I am going to introduce to you a man who knows Africa inside out. Temitope Olodo, a man from African security. So you have just heard me say things in the introduction. So I have no knowledge about Nigeria. You are from Nigeria, although you are an English person because you were born here. Is that right or no?
That's true. It's slated.
Okay. Now let us dive into this issue. Nigeria is big in everything, and the whole of Africa should be looking up to Nigeria, whether in everything. So I have put some figures here. You know, when I was researching for this program, I really wanted to know, why is it that kidnapping and lawless killings in Nigeria is becoming, it's like a pandemic in itself. I'm not saying that kidnappings do not happen anywhere in the world. Believe me, even in a country like New Zealand, there are kidnappings. But it looks like the kidnappings in Nigeria is taking a different kind of level. Please take us through.
Thank you so much. And for many of our viewers that are watching us, unfortunately, Nigeria is at a crossroad on the issue of kidnapping. We are becoming the, what do you call it, the country of kidnappers. It's only in Nigeria, and I'm saying this with all respect and all seriousness. It is only in Nigeria that tenants plan the kidnap of their landlords so that the money they get from the ransom, they could actually use it to pay for their rent. It is only in Nigeria, that workers organize the kidnapping of their bosses. So kidnapping has become a pandemic that people are not, armed robbery is not even happening as much as it used to happen before. Everybody is resorting to kidnapping simply because it is the only kind of crime that the police cannot really dealt into and deal with very well, effectively, like you do in Western countries or in a developed environment, where you could take DNA, where you could take, look at the crime scene and take evidence from the crime scene. As the information on your screen rightly, elucidate. We have a situation in Nigeria where an average of 12 people are kidnapped a day. I'm saying that every 60 minutes, one person is kidnapped in Nigeria. And the chances of them coming back is reduced to maybe 20%. Because if their family members cannot pay for their ransom, the individuals that kidnap them have a ready market for their body part to be sold in what is now used or popularly known across the world as Yahoo Yahoo Plus. These are individuals that use people's body for rituals. And on a daily basis, people's body are dumped, by the side, by the highway or on the street, where certain organs of their body have been extracted from it. Their blood have been drained. We know that, in fact, in a town, a very popular town in Nigeria, the owner, I'm not saying this to diminish it, the owner of an hotel have been convicted for breaking into the hotel room of one of the lodges and extracting all the blood of the individual for them to use for rituals. And
Okay, so tell me,
yeah, so it's
I
become
know, you
that
will.
bad.
Yes, I know you are going to. Sorry to cut you short. If I
That's
let you speak, you can speak for 10 months non-stop because and everything will. But let us go back here. So we have got these figures here. If you could just, they're saying over 380 people kidnapped in Nigeria in 34 days. And what does that mean in terms of hourly or the average percentage?
Okay. On average, on an hour, on a daily basis, an average of 12 people are kidnapped, which means that every hour, somebody is kidnapped. Now, we need to understand that we're saying over 380, which means that, it's not 380. Remember that a lot of people have been kidnapped, and even their family member might even think that they've just relocated somewhere, or they are still in school. For children that are going to school, they might have been kidnapped on the way, and even their parents might not even know they've been kidnapped until maybe after 3 or 4 days, when there is no report of them being in school or them not calling their loved ones to say that they've gotten to where they're going. There are people that are going to visit family members. Just imagine that I'm traveling from Kent, where I'm based there, and I'm coming to where you are in London, and my family member, my kids do not know I'm actually coming to you. And then I'm an adult, I'm over 18, and I decide I disappear. Even if you report me missing to the police in the UK, they will say you need to give it maybe a day or 2 days, because I might resurface because I've just gone somewhere, enjoyed myself. So it is not counted as kidnapping initially for the first 24 hours, except there are reasonable reasons to believe that that individual has been adopted. So now imagine a system like Nigeria, where the Nigerian police has been described as the worst police service in the world. They don't have the technology, or even they have the technology is restricted to the rich and the famous. So if you kidnap a rich and famous person, they are quick to find those people. But if you kidnap a poor man, that don't have the resources, then they are on their own.
So now we will come to the issue of the police because that is your area, security. But now let us have a look at another one. You see, this one says 3,341 people were reported killed in 2003. And then you have got another one which says 4,243 were kidnapped. So again, give us the numbers in percentage here. Well, let us know how many are killed every hour, or let us put every hour.
Okay. So again, I'm not a mathematician, and we're not using statistics here. We're not using machines to do the calculation. But for everybody watching me right now, what this statistics is saying to us is that in 365 days in a year, 3,841 people were killed. And what that is more or less telling us is that an average of 12 people are killed a day in Nigeria, which is an average of, let's say, 2 people for every hour, which is an average of 1 person every 30 minutes, if my mathematics is right. So what we are saying here is that In Nigeria, in a year, 2023, that just gone past, an average of 4,243 people were kidnapped, which literally, when divided by 365, is more than 12 people again that were kidnapped, which means that more than 2 persons per hour, which means that in every 30 minutes, 1 person is kidnapped. Now, remember that we're talking of those that are reported, not those that are not reported. It was in the same year, last year, that a train, was derailed or literally overrun by bandits who took away hundreds of people, and eventually some of them died at the scene, and some of them were kept for many weeks and months before a negotiation was carried out. The challenge we have in Nigeria is that kidnapping is happening everywhere. People are being kidnapped on their way to hospital. People are being kidnapped in cars. People they are entering into people's house to kidnap them. Kings are being kidnapped. Priests are being kidnapped. Officials are being kidnapped. In fact, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, which was President Muhammad Buhari's presidential vehicle, going to his hometown, was waylaid, ambushed on the road with bullets fired into it, and people lost their life in the process. Now, if they could do that to the number 1 citizen, who can they do it to?
Okay, now here, let us have a look at this one. This one says over 380 people, again, were kidnapped under Tinubu's administration. So, in fact, let us just talk about that. Here we are. You see, when Buhari is a military man, could not solve this situation. Basically, he could not solve Boko Haram. He could not solve insecurities. What will Tinubu do, or does he have a chance?
President Tinubu is still in his honeymoon period, and many Nigerians are on their knees praying to Almighty God to open up his mind, to various variations of ideas and wisdom that will help him to overcome the challenges that he has inherited from President Buhari. The challenge I have, as much as I have the highest respect for the commander-in-chief of the armed forces in Nigeria, who some few hours ago or days said that the military have done a lot to reduce insecurity in Nigeria, and the police have worked to try and reduce these challenges. The problem we have is that he is still adopting the same methodology that he inherited. One of the things he promised when he was campaigning was state policing, which I believe is one of the ways in which to stem down or reduce the insecurity in Nigeria. But there are other narratives that is having major impact on the insecurity challenges in Nigeria. And one of it, which I could mention on this program, and I hope the Nigerian security people are listening to me and policymakers, is that there have been no strategy in place to dismantle the recruitment methodology of criminals in Nigeria. So as the Nigerian government is working hard to reduce insecurity, the number of people that criminals are recruiting into their fold is increasing by tenfold. So except you have a strategy to address the recruitment methodology of criminals, you cannot address and reduce insecurity in Nigeria. It's
So,
very, very simple.
okay, now let me. I just want to show you something here. We know that Lagos is really glamorous and everything. It definitely is a very beautiful city, but also let us have a look at the whole of Nigeria. I think I've got it right here. No, not yet. Yes. So we will come back to that. Now, are we saying that the whole of Nigeria is facing these kidnappings and killings? Because Nigeria, it is big. Look, if I'm going to just let you explain where all these things are happening just in a few seconds, let us have a look at Nigerian map. So here we go.
Okay.
Tell me, are you still there?
Now, you're looking at 36 states in Nigeria. For those who do not know the history of Nigeria, Nigeria could be divided into the north and the south. The north is mainly the Hausas and some other tribes there. In the far right, where you have the blue is Bonu, where you have the Boko Haram and West African, Islamic jihadists there, causing havoc around the Sahel. Then you have to your that's the eastern part, northeast, to your northwest and north central in the middle there. You have a lot of bandits who are very, very bad, causing a lot of havoc with the Fulani jihadists, as they are known as headsmen, who are causing havoc in that part of the world, and kidnapping is there. Then you come to the south, where you look at the southeast, you have the agitators, who are the Biafrans, who are also kidnapping, and a lot of criminality in that side. With going further down to south, where you have Port Harcourt Rivers and the others, where you have the Niger Delta militants, who are a bit more political now and reducing their work, but you have the Biafrans in that little pocket of area of 6 states, where you have the no working on Monday because of the Nnamdi Kanu. Then you have the southwest, where you have the Oduas, who are the descendants of the Oduduwa, and some people in that place want to create a Yoruba state, or what you call the Oduduwa state, because they believe that they are not getting what they need from the south, so they are causing havoc there. But in that area, in the last few months, there's been a lot of kidnapping there, mainly attributed to the Fulani jihadists and bandits, but a lot of criminals also have taken advantage of the lack of proper policing, although there's a little state-owned body that have been created, called Amatekun, who are working in the forests to try and reduce, and they've done a lot of good work to reduce criminality in the southwest. But the southwest now, which is Lagos, going up from that dark red, going up to the yellow bits, are the areas which is southwest, which has relatively been more peaceful, but unfortunately, there's a lot of kidnapping happening there. Now, there's a difference between the beautiful city of Lagos, Abuja, that you've seen, which many people in the world are seeing. But the problem we have now is that, and I know you're going to show a video of kidnapping that is happening on the major road. Nigeria at the moment, the kidnapping is mainly affected, is more like a class issue. Because if you live in Banana Island, where you can't get a plot of land for even £10,000 or £200,000, sorry to use that word, 10,000, £200,000, the kidnapping in that area is minimum, even zero, compared to the major highway like this highway, where people plying the road have been attacked by kidnappers. They've gone after the commercial bus, shot the driver, killed the driver instantly, taking away all the passengers, and left a little girl. The policemen coming there are not using radio to block out or there's nothing like crime scene. As you could see, the crime scene is open for every Jik and Harry. Nobody is taking forensic to say, okay, let's take the forensic to take the bullets, to look at it and match it. So you could see why, the issue of kidnapping will continue, because those kidnappers know that nobody's taking their fingerprint, so that if they, spring up later, in another crime and they are taken, nobody's taking their fingerprint. So, oh, sorry, mister, your fingerprint was taken on the motorway on 2015 where somebody was killed and we're linking you up. Nobody's doing that. So you could see the kind of policing that we have in Nigeria, which is a shamble. But what I'm trying to bring out is, if you ply the road, kings have been adopted on the road and killed as far as in the last few days. And what is happening now is that rich people are flying. And when you want to fly from Lagos to Abuja now, it's about 350,000 naira, which is roughly about 200 pounds within a country. If you want to travel from London to Glasgow, now you don't pay more than 50 pounds. In Nigeria, you have to pay roughly about 350 pounds, almost 350 pounds to travel within a country, because everybody is trying to travel now. The population, the demand for traveling by plane is so high that everybody wants to travel. Now you see these people, for everybody watching now, all of them are waiting for that police car and those two security services to lead the way for the hundreds of cars behind them to be able to follow them. This is not a presidential escort. The police are escorting citizens, and that crime scene is left open for every Jik and Harry to go there and take pictures of the dead and pass it over on social media. That is the reality in Nigeria as we speak.
Okay, now let us come back here. You have been talking about security in Nigeria. And in your beginning statement, you said that Nigerian police is being described as the worst police force in the world. Now, according to you, what is Tinubu's plan about security? Yes, you mentioned that he's still adopting the old model of how things were done. Now, with this, now let me just ask you this question. These kidnappings, do you think is instigated by the youth because of unemployment, or what is it exactly?
It would be very wrong for me to come on air and blame the good Nigerian youth for what is happening. Of course, there are a lot of young people that are jobless, a lot of young people that have been recruited into the life of criminality, which is what I mentioned earlier. Instead of them going into national service, instead of them going into employment, as many of them are, as one person is taken into proper employment, another 10 is joining the army of unemployed. And those army of unemployed, when they are hungry, they don't have any future hope, then they will turn to a life of criminality, which is the easy way out. And that is the problem. Do we have a strategy to resolve and solve this teeming, help this teeming large population to be able to go the right way and be an asset to the nation rather than a liability? I have not seen anything from the Tinubu's administration that convinces me that his strategy, security strategy, will help to reduce criminality in Nigeria. Let me give you the reason why I said that for Nigerians that are watching me right now. I have not seen a single document from the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, my president, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Asiwaju Tinubu, a great man, a great politician, a great thinker. I have not seen a document from him that says this is our strategy in the next 4 years to deal with insecurity. And as a former civil servant, a security strategist, what I will expect is for the president and his people that are working in this field of security to say, what are the 10 high crime in Nigeria? Then they will list it: murder, kidnapping, baby selling, yahoo yahoo, whatever they want, rituals. And when you list those things, you then look at how do you reduce those things. This is how we intend to reduce them. They come up with their methodology of reducing it, and then this is how we measure ourselves against it. If I see that today, and this insecurity is still continue, I would say let's give this government a bit of a chance for their strategy to work. Do you understand me, Man J, Mr. J? But the issue is I have not seen that. I'll tell you one thing as a fact. What the president should be doing, if I'm the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and this video is getting to him right now, I'll say to him, the military, the police are traditional bodies who are stuck to their traditional ways and still working in the 8th and 9th century in their approach to reducing criminality in Nigeria. I would say, create a presidential committee on the reduction of violence, extremism, and criminality in Nigeria. A presidential committee made up of about 24 people, similar to what President Buhari did, creating a presidential committee for corruption and a presidential committee for economy. Create a presidential committee for risk reduction in Nigeria and bring in top professors in the area of criminology, bring in ex-military experts, bring them and let them brainstorm and create a document for you, and let them also advise you as civilians who are experts in this field, looking at different methodologies around the world to say, adopt this method, inject this approach, reduce this approach. If you continue to rely on the military and continue to rely on the police, which have been described as the worst police force in the world, and you think, Mr. Tinubu, President Tinubu, Your Excellency, that you are going to be able to address this criminality, I'll be back on this platform again, invited by the man called Jay in 3 months' time, and the figure will still be the same, if not higher. And by the end of the year, it will still be the same, and if not higher. Because as far as there are different drivers to insecurity in Nigeria, and those drivers have not been dealt with, and the counter-narrative have not been put in place to reduce the recruitment of people into criminality, to dismantle criminality cells holistically in Nigeria, the issue of criminality will not stop. And many people will be recruited into this field to continue this diabolical act, which is very sad thing for Nigerians.
Now, let me ask you just, I think this is a problem anywhere in Africa. You have elaborated very, very clearly that this is what they could follow. They could do X, Y, Z. But why can't they give a job like yourself so that you can actually give them your ideas and what you think they can start solving these problems? What is really the challenge? Where do they get their advisors?
It's so unfortunate that the way we operate in countries in Africa is always very difficult. If I am an Israeli and I have this amount of knowledge as we speak, the Israeli government will bring a plane to Kent and put me in that place and transport me to Jerusalem to give them, or to Israel, to give their ideas against Hamas, because they are open to as many ideas as possible to deal with their enemy. As we speak, when 5 girls from one family in Abuja was adopted, and their father was given a deadline to provide money, and he couldn't provide that money, they killed one of the girls, and then one of the ministers came out and said, oh, we need to raise money. So people have to go and start doing fundraising to be able to raise money in a country called Nigeria to be able to pay the kidnappers who will walk away with the money. Can that happen in the United Kingdom? Never, 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 I say, never. And there will have been a corporate meeting with the commander-in-chief, the prime minister, calling the family of those individuals, those girls, and saying, never, I will not only make sure you do not pay money to get those girls back, but I will ensure that those girls are released. Of course, those 5 girls were released because of the outcry from the Nigerian citizens. But we have not seen a TV parade of those individuals. They have not left Nigeria. They have not traveled out of the country. And they've collected some part of the money. Yet they are operating. Some of them are loose in Nigeria and enjoying that money in a country called Nigeria, where some people cannot eat. The only country in Nigeria, the only country where you pay people 30,000 naira. 30,000 naira, 1 naira is now to 1,880. Now, £1 is now 1,180. So you're talking of paying people £15 roughly, a month. Yet the dog in Asu Rock will eat more than 30,000 naira food. And that is a country we call a country. I'm not saying it's not a country. I'm saying that our priorities are completely wrong. And the government of President Tinubu needs to change its strategy on security and bring in people that will help him to change things around. If he continues this way, unfortunately, the people are now protesting. People are going on the street to say they are hungry. And I know he says he feels that pain. He feels that pain. And I'm saying we should let the young people, the people breathe. I'm saying, President Tinubu, let Nigerian breathe, bring in the diaspora injection. Let us come in and give you tangible advice that will move Nigeria forward from a security perspective. Forget about this your traditional security strategy that is being adopted, where there are helicopters sitting in Abuja that could be taken to this, that could be moved less than 15 minutes to a scene, but never used because it's not the commander-in-chief that needs it. That is not the way you do policing.
Okay, so now, as always, we can go on, but I think we are going to revisit this because we are not over yet, because this thing is happening every day. Now, I want just to summarize up our talk now. You see, how many states did you say in Nigeria?
There are 36 states in Nigeria.
Okay, so 36 states. Is there any report that indicates that these kidnappings and killings are happening more, say, for example, in Kaduna State or Katsina, or is there a state called Yobe State?
Yobe, yes.
Yeah, right. So now, you see, when you look at these states here, and each state has got a leader, a governor.
Yeah. Yes.
So what are the roles of these governors?
Okay. And that's the reason where the state policing came in, because the federal police, which is the Nigerian police, is controlled by one man who is the Inspector General of Police that answers only to the President and Commander-in-Chief. The other governors, the 36 governors, are meant to be chief executives. You understand? And of course, they have commissioners of police under them who they can give directions to. But whether those ones take directions from them is something else, because the Constitution does not say that they have to take direction from them. They only take direction from the Inspector General of Police. So when the Inspector General of Police says, or when the executive governor says, I want kidnapping to go down, of course, any reasonable police officer will say, yes, I agree with you, but he will still need to go back to his Inspector General of Police for him to okay him to do that. And that's the reason why um, you need state policing. But let me give this free advice to all the chief executives. I would say to them that if I am advising you now, free of charge now, Mr. Temitope Olodo is not charging you for this. I will say create what is called a safer state security strategy. Look at your state. Every state is peculiar in terms of the risk and security situation. Look at your state and say, what are the 10 security challenges in my state? It might be drug, it might be kidnapping, it might be pickpocketing, it might be anything. Look at it and say, how can I reduce it to 10% from 90% or 20% from 65% over a period of 3 years? And when you brainstorm on that kind of thing, people will come up with good ideas, and then you say, okay, what are the practical ways I can do it? And then develop a strategy around it. Go to your to your House of Assembly and create a white paper, go and create a strategy and bring all the security services together to deliver on that strategy so that your people can measure you by that strategy. Every one of them is just saying, I'm going to reduce criminality, I'm going to do this, but they do not have a blueprint strategy on how to do that. And that's why I believe that everything is dilly-dally. They are just talking, but there is no action to what they are saying.
So, we are going to wrap up. I just want to
Yes,
show
sir.
you one image. This is, I believe, this is Lagos, I believe.
Yes,
Very busy, as you can see it. Now, of course, Nigeria is advancing, but
yes.
this is the common image that you see every day or in real life. So you can actually see here the congestion and the transportation system and everything. It looks like Nigeria has got a lot of things to fix. And probably if they start, but okay, where do you think the leaders will, where can they start fixing things?
Okay, the good news is you're looking at Lagos now, but there's a transformation going on in Lagos. For the first time, Lagos now have trains, intercity trains that are moving within the state. And they are going to have blue line, red line, just like in the UK, and they brought trains in. So they are actually working towards that. And they are building their transportation system like any old city, like in the UK. They are looking at transforming their transportation system because the population is growing and people are coming left, right, and center to enter into the city. So there is a lot of transformation going on, and city is a blueprint, and that is one of the reasons why President Tinubu is one of the reasons why he won the presidency, because he said, I will make Nigeria the way I made Lagos. And anybody that listens to that will say, okay, Lagos that used to be a dumping ground that is smelly has now grown bigger, beautiful, and things are changing. Some areas need a bit of tweaking and amendment, but like any other city, like we have in London, there are areas that are no-go areas, like we have in London, and there are areas that are beautiful, and you think you are in Los Angeles, Hollywood. There are more Rolls Royce in Nigeria than there are on the street of London, whether you like it or not. There are people you can make money. You can make money quicker in Nigeria than you will make in the UK. You could become a millionaire within a month in Nigeria, and you can't become that millionaire in the UK like that. So I'm not trying to talk down Nigeria. I'm only saying that the level of criminality in Nigeria is such that the leaders do not have an handle on it. But Lagos is one of those areas where, for example, they've created what they call a Lagos State Security Trust Fund, where people are putting millions of pounds or dollars into it, and they are buying equipment, to help the police in Lagos to deal with criminality. And as a result, when you look at the index state by state, you see that Lagos is far, far, far below in terms of kidnapping, apart from maybe in areas like the um, outskirts. But one of the things I'll say to people, if you are traveling to Nigeria and you are using Uber, and I'll say it, Uber or Bolt, please be very, very careful when you log in and you call for an Uber. Before you go in, check the registration and check the face and identity of the individuals. One of the things I found out when I went to Nigeria is that the car, the person using the car, I ordered a boat in particular, and the individual that came to pick me was using a different vehicle. And he said to me, oh, my vehicle is at the mechanic, and it's going to take me some time to get the car fixed. So I've borrowed my brother's car to use my brother's car. So he's using a different vehicle with a different registration and different color from the car. And I said, sorry, I cannot get into your car because if anything happens along the way, the vehicle that is meant to pick me is completely different. And these are the kind of lapses in the security situations in Nigeria. So you have people that are using different vehicles, breaching protocols of those companies which are put there to help and to make it secure, but they are breaking it down. I'm saying to Uber, Bolt, look at your people, do what you call where mystery shoppers, try and order vehicles and other cars, use your mystery shoppers to order cars and see if these people are coming with the right car. Do spot check, tell people to send pictures of their car and things like that. Give your people security training. Organize a security training workshop with reputable organizations like mine, and ask us to come and train your people so that even your drivers understand the safety and security of their passengers and ensures that they do it. You can even put those security measures online for them to just watch 30 minutes, 30 minutes, and my company can develop those type of bespoke online packages for you. If you are Bolt or if you are Uber, we can do that for you so that your people can, understand and be more cautious with their passengers.
So, Mr. Temitope Olodo, you have actually released a lot, but I
Thank you,
think
sir.
we need more time, and maybe as we conclude, I'm sure some ideas will come. You already have them, but also I have got also some ideas of actually highlighting these issues or creating awareness because to me, when I see a nation in Africa which is successful, I am happy because I really want to see all African countries really doing the look. Man, I went to the Middle East and I went to this small country Bahrain. When you see the organization and how they do their things, and you wonder, God, man, why can't we? Why can't we have a Dubai in Nigeria, which has got everything? Congo has got everything. So we are going to conclude here. I think let us call this one part one. We are going to have a part two, where we will have a youth talking about all these. I'm sure this lady, when she comes on, you guys, you are going really to unearth a lot of things. So Temitope Olodo, thank you very much again for coming on Africans in London TV. As always, I am happy.
Thank you so much for having me, sir.
Yes,
It's a
so
pleasure.
until next time, I see you very soon.
Thank you, sir.
So that was Temitope Olodo, the man with the knowledge. He is an encyclopedia of African security. You've heard what he has to say. I can't add and I cannot subtract. But what I'm saying, watch this video, share it to anyone, whether that person is Chinese, whether that person is from wherever they are, because Nigeria is a beautiful country. Africa is a beautiful continent with beautiful countries that gives more, especially in terms of tourism and stuff like that. I'm not paid to advertise the continent of Africa, but because I am an African, and I feel really, really, really for it. Until next time, ciao.